says he built much of his public persona on false claims about his biography, finances, and identity, and later also faced criminal charges tied to deception and fraud. Damn. He falsely claimed degrees from Baruch, is that how you say it? Baruch College in New York and NYU, even though, even saying he graduated summa cum laude, although he has no college degree. He said he worked at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. Both firms reported no record of him as an employee. Financing career, Santos portrayed himself as a seasoned Wall Street financier and successful businessman, reporting a rapid jump in income and large loans to his campaign, while journalists found big gaps and unclear sources of wealth. He claimed Jewish heritage and that his grandparents were Holocaust refugees, later backing off, saying he was Jew-ish after his maternal family background, not actually Jewish. He also made disputed statements about being a landlord with a family real estate portfolio and about his mother's death being related to 9/11, although she died in 2016.
That's crazy. What a king. I love him.
There's a bunch more.
Animal rescue claims. He said he founded a nonprofit that rescued 2,500 cats and dogs, but reporters found no records of such an organization. Cultural and lifestyle claims. A Brazilian drag performer shared photos of Santos in drag. He initially denied ever doing drag and later minimized it as just dressing up for a festival when he was young. That's a funny dude. He's a funny dude.
Back to jail.
Yeah, he's fucked. He was sentenced to 87 months in prison for wire fraud and aggravated identity theft, with officials describing his conduct as a mountain of lies, theft, and fraud. His short House tenure ended with expulsion after an ethics report detailed misuse of campaign funds, including personal luxury spending. Fucking dude, you could have been in jail for 87 months, and you got out, and you blew it all on a bet. Like, how much did he make off the bet?
I don't think.
It's very fresh, this story.
Yeah.
I heard it on the news this morning.
Homie.
I don't think it said specifically how much, because it was more about what he did. So I don't think they tracked his account. Kalshi, I don't think they've announced like how much he bet on it.
And that is hard to trace, which is why I think he did it.
Right.
I mean, those platforms are hard to trace. I think Polymarket, I think they're specifically like even just in crypto on the back end.
Oh, really?
If I'm not mistaken, or in those similar kind of exchanges. So, like, it's hard to track. So it's a good place to insider trade, and he made some money. But I think I listened on the news this morning. It said 4 people close to him reported him, though. So, yeah.
Well, when you're that kind of a fraudster, allegedly, and that kind of a liar, allegedly, you tend to not have close friends that you could trust. You probably fuck those guys over, too.
Yeah.
If they're turning him in, allegedly. I think it's funny, though, because it's like, it's really unfortunate, because he had a real opportunity. Like, he became a public person.
Maybe he still does. Maybe he'll get another pardon.
No.
Who knows?
I doubt it. I doubt he'll give him a pardon for
I
that.
don't know why I got the first one.
He'd probably be so mad if Trump got a phone call from him asking for a second pardon.
Why did he get the first one? Do you know?
I have no idea. Let's find out. Let's ask.
Well, why he got the pardon?
Yeah, why did he get pardoned? There's a lot of people that got pardoned where you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
The Biden thing was nuts, where they pardoned more people than ever, any president ever. And how much of it was done with the auto pen? So he's literally like barely there, right? We all agree at this point. I mean, there used to be dispute. Oh, yeah, it was a stutter. We all now say he was barely there. So someone else was doing that. So what's the legality of that? What is the legality of selling pardons?
And the preemptive pardons, too.
Oh, those are nuts.
Yeah.
How about for crimes that just don't exist?
Yeah.
You're not accused of anything. What'd you do? He did not receive a pardon. His prison sentence was commuted by President Donald Trump, which let him out of prison early but left his convictions in place. Interesting. In October of 2025, Trump signed a commutation with for former Representative George Santos, ordering his immediate release from federal prison, where he was serving a roughly 7-year sentence for fraud and identity theft. Commutation shortens or eliminates the punishment, but does not erase the conviction or declare the person innocent, unlike a full pardon. Trump said Santos had been horribly mistreated and had spent long periods in solitary confinement, which Trump framed as too harsh for a rogue politician compared with others. Commentators widely interpret the move as fitting Trump's pattern of granting clemency to political allies and loyalists rather than based on traditional justice system criteria. I mean, look, it's a weird thing that you could do. The fact that you're the president and you could just say, what did you do? You robbed a bank? You're sorry. Get free. Meanwhile, if you don't know the president, you're in the bank forever. Like, that is a crazy loophole that still exists that makes no logical sense whatsoever.
Yeah, you just help people around you or your kids, whatever it is.
Or a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Or
Donation.
somebody hooks you up and you know them and their cousin needs a thing and there's a guy and maybe he did it, maybe he didn't. But you can get him out.
I mean, I'd pardon a lot of people.
I would pardon a fuckload of people.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, on this show, we've done a lot of work with my friend Josh Dubin, who used to work with the Innocent Project, and now he works with the Ike Perlmutter Center for Legal Justice or Criminal Justice. So it's all people that are wrongly convicted, and there's a shit ton of them. And you find out that there's these rogue politicians, or rather prosecutors, these rogue prosecutors and rogue DAs and rogue cops that just have fucking dozens and dozens of bullshit convictions where they fucking hid evidence. They absolutely knew the person that they arrested was the wrong person. They don't care. They just want a conviction. They don't care. They lose their ability to give a fuck whether or not the person that's in jail is actually guilty of that crime. And they justify it in their head, well, he was a drug dealer, or he was a this, or he was a that, and he fucked off his whole life. We're better off with him being in jail. Let me go to Morton's and have a steak.
You take that.
Is that my AC breaking?
An American Home Shield warranty can help protect major home systems and appliances. And if AHS can't repair the covered item,
And then you compare it with like every violent crime that has happened in Austin this year are people that have been repeat criminals just let loose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so locking up people that don't deserve it, and then a guy off a 360 here in Austin killed his family, and he was let out a couple times before.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. That's a different thing. You know, so you got both things, right? You have these very liberal DAs who are letting people go if they think that they're, from a protected class, or if they think they've experienced racism, or they've experienced some sort of an unjust situation as a youth, and they need a second chance, and the system is racist, and so you let them loose. But you've got people that, like the guy that pushed someone in front of the train in New York City had been arrested over a dozen times. Like, the fuck are you doing? And there's some kind of crazy statistic, particularly about New York City, that something like 50% of all the crimes are by a very small number of people.
Oh, yeah.
A very small number of repeat people. And if those people are in jail, literally crime, you could half violent crime, half robberies, half.
Yeah.
50%.
It's crazy. I saw some people doing analysis of like the kind of content and news we were getting in 2015 by people that I watched and liked, like the Vlog Brothers and stuff on YouTube, where everything was about the prison industrial complex, which I'm not saying is not a thing. It's certainly, there's definitely issues for sure. But it was about how, we have the highest prison population and stuff. And again, these aren't untrue things, but it started coming out all this challenged information about how we are too critical in this country and too punishing. And then what you started to see after that was the politicians like the DA here or the DA in San Francisco coming around the 2020 stuff after the George Floyd situation and everything, where all of a sudden it was beyond soft on crime, like beyond, where they could do any amount of property damage that they wanted in San Francisco and just no challenges. So the DA in Chicago raised, I think, the theft threshold from like $50 to $500 or something. It was something crazy. So all that information,
I think it was $900.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All that information that we were all consuming was just unchallenged. And all you had was like a video on Fox News just yelling. That was like the only challenge to information that was coming around 2015. And I was a fan of that information. I ate it alive. And then now we're facing the consequences of it.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Well, it's also, you find out that there's there's sort of a dark element to it all. And there's people like George Soros and the Open Society Foundation, and what they do is they invest their money in politicians. They invest their money in DAs, and they get like the most liberal, the most progressive, the one who's going to do the most damage to the city in terms of crime. And then he funds the next guy to compete against him who's further left. And they just go further and further and further until you've got people like the guy they got rid of in Los Angeles that was just violent crimes. This guy pulled a knife on a sheriff who was trying to attack a sheriff with a knife, and then they let him out. And then he hacked up some guy with his kids with a fucking machete in Malibu or in Santa Monica, wherever it was. It's like you hear these stories and you're like, this is fucking insane. When someone's a violent criminal and they commit violent crimes, they need to go to jail. And if you don't do that, you're going to encourage people to do violent crimes. So why are these prosecutors doing this? Why are these DAs doing this? Are they doing it because they want to? Do they want society to fail? Well, some of them do. Some of them actually do. They would like our civilization to fall. They think America is evil.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Elon's deep into it, man. I've had conversations with him about it, and he explains the way Soros does it, and that it's a great investment, because like to invest in politicians in terms of like to spend money on a campaign for the president, it's a lot of money. Spend money on a campaign for becoming the governor, that's a lot of money. But a local DA, not that much money. And for a great return on your investment, you can fucking tank a city by having one insane DA. Like, who was the guy in LA they got rid of? Was it Garza? Was that what his name? This guy was fucking out there. I mean, he was releasing all kinds of crazy criminals. And you're like, why would you do that? And there was a podcast that I was listening to where there was a former gang leader who was leaving Los Angeles because he was saying it's getting too dangerous, and they're about to release thousands of people from prison because the prisons are overcrowded, so they're releasing thousands and thousands of violent offenders, and he was sounding the alarm for it. Former gang leader. He's like, this is too hot. We got to get out of here. Like,
that's the primary reason I'm against the things like all the funding for the train in California, specifically because I actually really I'm a big advocate for public infrastructure and even like dense living. Like, I love when you visit a place that is like dense and really cool, lots of community. I love that. We can't do that because we have these people that just let the violent criminals out. They let people hop fares in San Francisco and smoke meth on the train. I want trains. I wish Austin had an incredible subway system. We can't if we keep letting out these horrible people that'll be everywhere. These people with mental health issues that we won't put in a place that is more humane than letting them sleep on the street. We'll let them crash at the... Anytime me and my girl, we drive past a bus stop, and we're just like, we would never ride a bus here.
right.
Because just I've seen people light up a meth pipe on South Lamar at a bus stop, and there's just people that are just sleeping there, and you can't even wait for a bus. I want these nice things. We can have these nice things, but we can't if we just let people overrun them.
So what do you think, if you had to put on your tinfoil hat and really try to make an assessment of like why this is happening? Like, why are they allowing this? Why hasn't no one done what is the sensible thing? Protect the peaceful, tax-paying, kind, and compassionate people of the city from violent criminals. Why are you allowing these people to continually be released? Why are you so soft on crime? Like, what are you doing?
With over 50 years of expertise, keeping you hydrated is kind of our thing. The Watermelon Hydration Smoothie is back at Smoothie King. Made with coconut water and packed with electrolytes. We designed each recipe from the...
Yeah. Well, honestly, definitely not as deep as Musk is on this, but for me, I really think this is political capture. When you get in those ecosystems now online, you can get on TikTok and it'll immediately figure out within 3 minutes what group to put you in, and then you hear no other perspective.
Right.
And we know young generations, especially young women, they've moved more politically extreme than any other generation in the history of the United States. And they've moved to the left, left, right, I don't care, but they've moved to the extreme version. And when you're politically captured, you then vote for the people that are more politically captured on that left, and there is a lot of that moral masturbation that comes with it. It sounds good. We
yeah.
had all that information around 2015, 2020 that anyone that's going to prison is, you know, just for having weed or anything like that, we're just evil as a society.
Right.
And when you get that and you start moral masturbating about everything, it sounds good. Like things like rent control, it sounds good. It
Right.
sounds like the moral thing to do. Not just putting people in prison for a long time. Sounds nice. Sounds nice. Not kicking people off the street when they're homeless. It sounds nice. Not doing those sweeps. It sounds nice.
Yeah.
And people that are politically captured online, especially in our algorithms, this is so brutal, and they just vote for that on repeat because they hear no alternative perspective. And even still, it's so politically captured now where it's like, if you disagree with 1%, you're a Nazi and you're, you know, get out of here. You're not one of us.
Right.
It's pretty brutal. I always considered myself like pretty left of center, actually. I'm probably more centrist now. Economically, I've moved a little to the right over the past few years, but compared to the people surrounding me in college that were definitely like far left, because, you know, music school and all that stuff, but they were still algorithmically captured. I was borderline like a Nazi because I just didn't agree with everything.
Yeah.
You know, maybe the taxes shouldn't fund tits.
Right.
I'm sorry if I'm a Nazi for that. Like, we have too much bloat.
I think you're absolutely correct about the political capture, but I think it's also manipulated, and that still doesn't account for who's funding the DA campaigns, and the fact that Soros does get involved in these kind of things, and not just him, but others as well.
Do you think he truly believes in it, though? Like, this is the right thing. Like,
Well,
we have a
he's-
prison issue.
No, I don't think so. I think he banks on it. I mean, he's made money off of collapsing societies. Like he's of interesting character. He seems like completely immune to the consequences, like spiritually, of what he does.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's a flaw of mine, I guess. I just assume the worst until I see the best. So
That's not a flaw. That's you're a good person.
well, it's fucked me over a lot of times. But like, I mean, I just assume that even if I disagree with them politically, they think it actually has a positive outcome.
Yeah.
I want to think that.
I used to. I think now more they want to pretend that they think it's going to have a positive outcome because it justifies what they're doing. And then it also, I think with politicians, it's really a self-serving thing. They just know that people are politically captured, so they say the things that the politician... Like, listen, Gavin Newsom in any other world could easily be a Republican, okay? If we were living in the 1990s, he might have been. Like, this is nonsense. Like his perspectives on things is about personal gain. It's about his campaign and his image, and that's why when he addresses any of the issues with California, he always goes into this pre-planned speech about we're the biggest tech sector, we're number 4 in the world, and the world economy starts moving his hands around. He's got a little fucking voodoo dance he does, because it's not really about addressing the situation. It's about framing it in a very positive way so that he looks good, so that he moves forward. And that's what he wants to do.
And you're starting to see him come closer to center now, being opposed to the billionaire tax and other things like that in California.
Enough with that.
Without Purdue Global, I wouldn't be where I am today. Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu.
Premium cuts of meat without the premium prices.
It's an Aldi thing.
Today's guest is an author. He's a speaker. He's a
Yeah, I applied for a presidential pardon.
You applied for a presidential pardon?
Yeah. In
Okay.
fact, I brought a couple of letters.
You,
I hope you don't.
as long as you don't meet me. If I sign them, it's not gonna help anything. I'm just telling you that.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask if you thought it would be helpful. I got.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Dang, I was
Oh yeah.
joking.
Oh no. I'm talking to Tulsi Gabbard on Friday. Did I tell you that?
Oh, nice. Her husband just went into surgery today. I saw.
Yeah,
I was messaging
poor
with her
guy.
yesterday.
She's great.
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard. She seems. There's just something about her that seems genuine to me.
And that's why they tried to destroy her.
Is that what you think's going on with her
I
right
think
now?
that's why the Democrats tried to destroy her. I really do.
But even right now, I mean, she's just taking a leave. I know it's for her husband's health.
Yeah. Oh yeah, headed into surgery this morning.
Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah, she tweeted or she
Posted
Instagrammed
today.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, do you
Poor
think,
guy.
because she's kind of like, and she just took a break. She took a complete break from politics.
Yeah. You remember when she was running as a Democrat, every time she would inch up in the polls, the DNC would change the rules for participating in the next debate. So they would do it just 1 or 2 percentage points out of her reach every single time because they were threatened by her message. She just wouldn't get with their program.
She's always seemed very like she has her own.
Oh, she was definitely independent.
Independent, that's what it is.
Definitely,
She's always seemed very
absolutely.
independent. Well, they did the same thing with Bernie Sanders. It was
They
like
did exactly the same thing with Bernie Sanders.
So I guess what my question would be like, you know, and I can't remember if I asked Bernie this or not, but why would you stay in a party that you know at a
right?
certain point is not, that's cheating you?
Yes. And you know, the Democrats did something in after the 1972 election, which I think people don't pay anywhere near enough attention to.
1972.
Nobody at the DNC wanted George McGovern to be the near enough attention after the 1972 election, which I think people don't pay anywhere near enough attention to. Nobody at the DNC wanted George McGovern to be the 1972 nominee. He was the most popular at the time, especially among young people, but he was the weakest nationwide, and he ended up losing 49 states. But you know, it's a party of the people, right? If the people want George McGovern as the nominee, then George McGovern should be the nominee.
And they didn't let him become the nominee?
No, they let him become the nominee, and then as soon as he lost the race, they instituted this thing called superdelegates. So if you are a member of the House, a member of the Senate, a governor, a lieutenant governor, a state party director, a state committee chairman, you're automatically made a delegate to the convention. Well, there are like 1,500 of them. And so you end up with situations like West Virginia and Wyoming where Bernie Sanders beats Hillary Clinton in both states, and Hillary Clinton wins literally every delegate.
From those states? Wow.
Like, how's that fair?
So wait, explain that to me a little bit better, because I want to get on this. And George McGovern was a major reason Democrats later created super delegates after McGovern's 1972 nomination and landslide general election loss. Party leaders wanted a way to give more influence to experienced officials and reduce the chance that a highly activist primary electorate would produce another nominee they saw as too extreme. So you're saying the people believed in this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Even though he lost, the people believed in him, but the party and whoever that is didn't want it to be like just like a populist vote. They didn't want just the people to have the choice.
They wanted to go back to the days with the smoke-filled back rooms with the party bosses choosing who's going to be the nominee.
And if they put it more on the shoulders of just the super delegates, then they could control fewer. It was fewer people they had to control.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. I am proud to say, in 1983, I was a sophomore in college. I was the Speakers Committee chairman. I was the whole committee of the George Washington University College Democrats in the days when I was a Democrat. And I saw a little blurb in the Washington Post saying, hey, remember George McGovern? He's thinking of running for president again. So I wrote him a letter. I said, hey, I read that you were thinking of running for president again. We have a fantastic computer here at the school. We can do all the legwork, ready-made volunteers. My phone rings a few days later, wakes me up, and it's George McGovern. And he says, can I see that theater? I said, of course. So he comes over to school, and we walk over to the theater. Nobody recognized him. And he said, yeah, the theater's perfect. And there's like a cutout for cameras, and it was perfect. So he says, don't tell anybody, but I am going to run for president again.
And this is after the 72 loss.
Yeah, this is, 11 years after the 72 loss.
Okay.
Reagan is president.
Okay.
So we put out a press release, major announcement by Senator George McGovern on such and such a date, George Washington University in the Marvin Theater. And packed the place, and it was on the news. And here's what a sweet guy he was. He did the announcement and brought important people with him, like Mo Udall. Remember Mo Udall? He ran for president in '76. He was a congressman from Arizona. And there he is. And then Cliff Robertson, the Academy Award-winning actor, and his wife, Dina Merrill. Yeah, they both came.
So he brought some...
Like
he brought his own
A-listers.
He brought his own influencers.
Yeah, and Frank Mankiewicz, who had been Robert Kennedy Sr.'s press secretary, was Senator McGovern's press secretary.
You must have been geeked, huh?
Oh, it was incredible. And then he makes the announcement. He shakes everybody's hand. And he invites me back to his apartment, and his wife made tuna sandwiches.
Nice.
Just the loveliest people. He ended up, crazy as it sounds, coming in third. Walter Mondale won, Gary Hart came in second, and McGovern came in third.
And that was for the Democratic Party?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they kept saying, drop out, George, drop out, George, drop out, George, because he was pulling young people.
I remember Jesse Jackson, when he ran, he was very close, right? Wasn't he the populist choice, kind of?
Yes, he was the populist choice. 1984 and 1988.
He was.
Very much so.
And because I remember I think we had a sign for him, like, our family was always like, pretty, liberal and hopeful and new ideas,
Sure.
right?
That's how mine was.
Yeah. But not like ethereal at the same time, not like unrealistic, right? We were not unrealistic, but we were hopeful, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, didn't Jesse Jackson, and did they just not service him, or what happened with Jesse Jackson?
Yeah, they let him kind of self-destruct. See, it says here he won 11 contests. He did very, very well in 88, but he was never a Democratic Party insider.
Got it.
The insiders were not going to let him have that nomination. That's what they do. And the Republicans don't have such a system.
You don't think so?
No, they don't have superdelegates, which means then an insurgent candidate like a Donald Trump can win a nomination.
I see, but it's less likely to happen in the Democratic Party?
Much less likely to happen.
Because of superdelegates. Wow, I didn't realize that only one party had those.
Al Franken.
Because, hold on, before you move forward on Al Franken. So, but didn't Jesse Jackson win a few in a row? Like he was
on a roll.
He was building momentum.
And they were like, yeah, we're going to put the brakes on this.
And when they say we are going to put the brakes on this, who is the we? Is it just
it's the state committee chairmen who make up the Democratic National Committee.
Got it. But it's just the insiders. It's like the money talking, whoever those it's the smoky background.
This congresswoman from Florida, her name escapes me, 3 names. But anyway, she was the head of, what was it? No, she was the head of the DNC in Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz gave Hillary Clinton's campaign all the debate questions before the debate. But Bernie didn't get the questions.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It's fixed.
Yeah. I think we all know what happened at this point.
Yeah. The fix was in.
But the fix was in, but it's just it starts to make you feel like, okay, that the regular person, like what you really want, even the idea of that, it used to feel real.
Yes.
And it doesn't feel real anymore.
Yes.
And that, I think, is one of the scariest things happening in America right now. You're like,
agree.
It used to feel hopeful, and now it feels will we survive? There's something else. It's not a hope.
War.
I don't even know if it's somewhat of a fear, but it's more of an uncertainty. But America used to feel like this hopeful thing, like we're building this thing that's gonna that means something that we're gonna pass on to our children,
That's
and
right.
that could possibly stand the test of time. And when something like that, you believe in something like that, it makes your day-to-day interactions and your interaction with your country, and it makes that all more meaningful to you, so you show up for it differently. We're sitting here with John Kiriakou. Kiriakou. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for the invitation. I love the show.
I've seen so many clips of you recalling stories from your time in the CIA.
Yeah.
Is having a good memory a requirement for the job?
Oh, yeah.
Is it really?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Is it a requirement?
It's actively encouraged. I had a invitation. I love the show.
I've seen so many clips of you recalling stories from your time in the CIA.
Yeah.
Is having a good memory a requirement for the job?
Oh, yeah.
Is it really?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Is it a requirement?
It's actively encouraged. I had a station chief one time who gave me the biggest compliment.
You had a what one time?
A station chief.
Okay.
So I was doing an operation in the Middle East, but I was doing it from headquarters. The station chief called me. We were friends from our training days. And he said, listen, we recruited a double agent out here. He's insisting on meeting with the chief. But it's just too dangerous for me to meet with him because he doesn't know that we know he's working for the bad guys.
Got it.
Can you come out here every month and meet with him and pretend to be me? And I said, sure. So I did. To make a long story short, I would do the meeting and then go straight to the airport and fly back to Washington. There was a midnight flight. And I would write the reporting cable from headquarters instead of writing it from the station and then sending it to headquarters. I'd write it from headquarters and send it to the station. And the great compliment he gave me was, he said, your memory is so good. You remember so many details that when I read the cables, I feel like I'm in the room watching it go down. And I said, that is exactly what I'm going for. Yeah, I've always been proud of being able to do that.
But it wasn't a requirement when you I guess, I don't know if you audition for the CIA, but how do you...
Yeah, you kind of do. Yeah.
What's that process like? Like, how do you get...
Extensive.
Is it?
It's changed from when I joined. When I joined, I was in graduate school at George Washington University, and I was taking a class called The Psychology of Leadership. And the class was about why foreign leaders make the decisions that they make. One of the examples that sticks in my mind is the Yalta Conference at the end of World War II. Why was it in Yalta, of all places?
I'm not familiar with it. Bringing up the Yalta Conference. The World War II.
Yeah.
The Yalta Conference was a World War II meeting of the heads of government of the United States, UK, and the Soviet Union to discuss the post-war reorganization of Germany and Europe. Okay.
Yeah. So Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin.
They all met in Yalta.
They all met in Yalta, which is really, really hard to get to.
Yalta.
And you can't just, get in a plane and fly over the war. The war's still going on.
Right.
So Roosevelt took a train to Norfolk, Virginia, then took a boat to Malta, which took like a week, right? Back in those days.
Which is obviously a psyop because it rhymes with Yalta.
Right? And then he had to go to Cairo and then Iran, and then from Iran to Yalta. He was sick. He died a month later. Wow. So the reason why it was in Yalta is because Stalin had a spy in the White House, and the spy told him Roosevelt is sick. And so Stalin wanted him to be as weak as possible. When they arrived, or when the American side arrived, Roosevelt was exhausted, and he wanted to go to sleep.
And
but Stalin insisted that the talks begin immediately. And so just to be able to go to bed, Roosevelt gave up Poland.
Look, I'll throw in Poland. Let's talk tomorrow.
Exactly.
Oh. Yeah, dude, look, sometimes bro, you show up and you're like, yeah, you just
can't do it.
Yeah. Or you just say, look, yes, take that. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? I got to brush my teeth and lay down for a few minutes. It's crazy the things you will give up when you first get somewhere just to get to your room and unpack.
Amen.
To urinate. Oh.
So I'm in this class.
And just to be clear, so they made him go all that way just because they knew it would weaken him.
Yeah, there it is.
So they created a path that would just that would add to him because they had a spy in the White House.
Yeah.
President Franklin D. Roosevelt died of a massive cerebral hemorrhage on April 12, 1945 at Warm Springs, Georgia, just 2 months after the Yalta Conference. Wow. The grueling 7,000-mile trip to the Soviet Union, combined with his severe underlying cardiovascular conditions, took a significant toll on his already failing health. Wow.
You see what a well-placed spy can do for you?
That's strategy right there.
That is strategy. That's the big leagues right
That's
there.
the big leagues.
So I'm in this class, and the professor, Dr. Gerald Post, eminent psychiatrist, tells us to shadow our bosses for a week, just watch our bosses, spend each day with them, and then do a psychological profile on our bosses.
And this is when you're at George Washington University. You're a student.
Right.
Okay.
I was in grad school. There's Jerry. And what a great man he was. He died of COVID, the poor guy.
Oh.
So
he was murdered.
Right.
Carry on.
I'm working at the United Food and Commercial Workers Union at the time. And I worked for this guy who was a mean, angry, old school union organizer, right? I was a little bit afraid of him, to tell you the truth. Big, strong, mean guy. And halfway through the week, we got into an argument, and I called him a racist, which he was.
Yeah.
And he got so mad, he set a stance, and he put up his fist like this. And I put up my hands thinking, dang it, I went too far this time. And he goes, my penis is bigger than yours. And I said, what?
What?
And he goes, my penis is bigger than yours. I said, you know what? You're nuts. And I quit. And I walked out. So I went back and I banged out my paper. I said he was a sociopath with psychopathic and possibly violent tendencies. And I footnoted the whole thing. It wasn't just John venting on
But
it.
with a possibly decent wiener on it.
Yeah, right, apparently.
You got to put that.
Apparently. And so I get the paper back a week later. Dr. Post gave me an A, and then in the margin he wrote, "Please see me after class." So I go up to him. I said, "Dr. Post, you wanted to see me?" He says, "Come to my office." This classroom was like on the 6th floor, and the office was on the 4th. So I went down there. He closed the door, and he says, "Look, I'm not really a professor here. I'm a CIA officer, undercover as a professor here. I'm looking for people who would fit into the CIA's culture. I think you would fit in. Would you like to join the CIA?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I would." And so the rest, though, is up to you. It was kind of a long story, I'll skip it, but he made a couple of calls that got me deep into the process.
Got it. So Mr. Post was your professor.
Yes.
And you also had this job where you were where the guy was the racist guy.
Yeah, that was at a union.
Okay.
So I was using that union job to put myself through grad school.
Got it.
And then I quit and I walked out. I said, "The guy's dangerous." And I guess the way I wrote the paper made him think that the analysis was concise, it was to the point, and I backed it up with the facts. So I go through these weird. He sent me across the river to Roslyn, Virginia, Arlington, Virginia. It's a little neighborhood right across the Potomac from Washington.
Hold 1 second.
Yeah.
So he was a CIA operative, this professor?
Yes.
Now, when someone's a CIA operative but also a professor, are they an actual professor that then gets hired?
That's a great question.
Like, which is first?
That's a great question. It's usually that they're a CIA operative first, and then they get hired as a professor. What he did is illegal today.
Got it.
So in 1993, Congress passed the Equal Employment Opportunity Act, the EEOC, which made this illegal. So now it's very not sexy. You just go to www.cia.gov and click apply.
Right. Different.
It's different.
It's a little easier.
Back then, it was, all white guys from Ivy League schools for the most part, and now it's different.
It was exciting.
It was exciting.
Oh, I bet it was one of the most exciting things.
I used to park my car out in North 40 and then take 20 minutes to walk all the way around the compound so I could walk in the main door across the giant seal and see the Wall of Honor and the flags, and I felt like I wanted to cry, I was so proud to be there.
Felt like you were part of something.
I really did.
I can imagine that you feel like you're part of something. Like, what did you feel like you were part of?
Well, I came from this very liberal household, and I remember my mom and dad getting into an argument one time. It was the Pennsylvania primary of 1976. And my dad voted for Frank Church, who had created the Church Committee that completely reorganized the CIA and stripped it of its power to carry out assassinations and things like that. And my mom voted for Birch Bayh, who was a senator from Indiana. And my dad said, "Birch Bayh? Why'd you vote for him?" And she said, "He's so good looking." And my dad's like, "What? Church is the guy doing all the work." And I remember being fascinated by this argument that they were having. So when Dr. Post approached me, I called a friend of mine that I was in class with who was married to a guy at the CIA. And I said, "Listen, I'm not a naif. I know the CIA's history. It's pretty ugly. Do I want to be involved in an organization like this? I want to go into public service. I want to see the world." She said, "Let's have dinner." So the three of us got together for dinner. And he's like, the bad old days of the CIA are gone.
The bad old days, he said?
Yeah, the bad old days of the CIA are gone. He said, 75 with the Church Committee in the Senate, the Pike Committee in the House changed everything. No more assassinations, no more overthrowing governments, which was true for a little while. A little while. Because 4 years later, Ronald Reagan becomes president. And next thing you know, we're, doing Iran-Contra, and we're bombing different countries, and everything just went back to the way it was. But there was this golden period. My friends are going to yell at me for saying that. There was this period where the CIA was a really awesome place to work.
Got it. And so when you're walking into that, when you're taking me back to that moment where you're walking in, did you feel like, I'm a part of something that's important to America, or I'm a part of just an intriguing life, and this is exciting? Did you feel like I'm like Clark Kent? Like, and there's no wrong answer. This is all just like curiosity.
Oh, sure. The first 7.5 years that I was there, I was an analyst. In the office that Dr. Post had founded, the political psychology division. And I really felt like I was a part of something big, you know? I was only on the job 8 months. And it was just as I started to feel like I really knew what I was doing. I was the leadership analyst, the psychological analyst on Iraq. And the reason I was given Iraq was because, not my words, these were the words of my leadership, nothing ever happens there. It's the same cabinet since the 1968 revolution. Nothing ever happens. So learn the writing style, learn the tradecraft, and you can move on to something interesting like Romania.
So my friend just played ball in Romania. Actually.
It's a great place for me. I love it. Oh yeah, it's great.
I got to get over there. My buddy Patrick McCaffrey he just finished playing ball over there. Anyway, carry on.
I love it. So just as I get to the point where I really feel like I know what I'm doing, Iraq invades Kuwait. August the 2nd, 1990. I walk into the office early, like before 7, and my boss says,
"Yeah, shit's popping. Now you gotta show up."
I couldn't wait to get into the office that day. My boss says, "Don't take your jacket off. We're gonna go to the White House." I'd never been in the White House before, and so we go to the White House. There's this Marine standing there. He walks us into the West Wing. And we go into the anteroom of the Oval Office, and then the secretary takes us in, and here's the president, the vice president, the national security advisor, and the CIA director. And so you just kind of stand there, you wait to be told what to do. There are two nice chairs like this. The president's in that one, the vice president's in this one. There's a couch here. My boss and I sat on that. There are two like more uncomfortable chairs over here for the CIA director and the national security advisor. And we sit down. And the president goes, "Well, now what do we do?" And then everybody turns and looks at me. And I'm looking at them. And then it took me a second. And I'm like, "Oh, well, as you know, Mr. President, Iraqi troops crossed the border at 4 o'clock this morning. And the Kuwaiti ruling family, fled to Saudi Arabia, blah, 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 blah." But I remember thinking, my friends would never believe in a million years what I was doing right now. Wow. They would never believe it. And I was 25 years old.
And it happened overnight that you were kind of suddenly having an influence. Like you right there, they're looking to me for information.
That actually was kind of a recurring theme in my career. I was just very, very lucky.
Got it.
A lot of times.
So when you're walking into the building, when you take that long way and you pass like the flags and walk over the seal, it's just like I'm a part of something.
Yeah, you really feel it.
Do you think that's the same CIA that we have today?
No. 9/11 changed everything, and it changed it permanently in a bunch of different ways. Not just, have you ever heard of Executive Order 12333?
I haven't.
12333 was signed by Gerald Ford. And it came in the aftermath of the Church and Pike committees. And
It establishes
the responsibilities and guidelines for the U.S. Intelligence community.
Okay, Executive Order 1233 establishes the goals, responsibilities, and guidelines for the U.S. intelligence community. Got it.
Number 1, you can't kill people anymore, right?
Well, this was after the Church Commission, right?
Exactly. They said, you got to stop killing people. And we had these, we're putting explosives in Fidel Castro's cigar and putting poison on the steering wheel of his car and stupid stuff. And so 12333
Real
said,
Tom and Jerry shit.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do that stuff anymore. And then it's been amended over the years. Well, after 9/11, Bush is just kill everybody.
Wow.
And so we set up these offices. One whole office called the Special Activities Division, and then there's in the Counterterrorism Center where I was working, there's one called the Special Activities Group. And their job, very simple, is just to send teams around the world, kill people, come back, get the list of them, go out there, kill them, come back, get another list, kill those guys. It was like nobody was trying to collect intelligence anymore.
Things changed
overnight.
We are gardeners.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
All right, here we go. Look at that focus. Well, he saw the streak, adjusted, That is perfect execution right there.
Listen, Tony, that's all about patience and preparation paying off.
It's easier to play when you've got a plan.
One time I was traveling somewhere, you know, because and I'm sure you've had or pound. Do you think there's a lot of like conspiracies about 9/11, right? And I'm sure you've had.
I take a lot of shit about the conspiracies. Yeah,
You do?
I do. I
Yeah.
take a lot of shit because I don't believe in them.
You don't?
No.
So from your experience, because you were there when it happened, you were in the CIA when it occurred, to where we are now, has your point of view changed at all since then to now?
My point of view actually has changed. So I don't think I deserve a lot of the criticism that I get. I'm going to start on July the 6th of 2001.
Okay.
So,
and I'm not familiar with the criticism either.
Okay, I'm glad. I'll explain it to you then, because I get all the time. The Jews did it. The Saudis did it. Literally, the space aliens did it. The Israeli government did it. The Bush family did it. It's like, come on, people. Nanothermite paint. There's no such thing as nanothermite paint. That they painted in 1972 to make the buildings blow up. Come on, you guys.
That to me sounds that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But what doesn't sound ridiculous is somebody having long-term strategy, like you were saying a little while ago, that people play a longer game,
Yeah,
right?
they do. And we're not good at that generally.
Oh yeah, I don't think that we are. We're like a country when everything now, you know, and we're kind of a newer country as well. So it's like, and we got everything fast anyway. And when you get something fast, you don't really have a ton of respect for it in some ways.
That's right. That's right.
And it's tough for me to say that because we all just live like one life term, but I think some of that could be infectious over like a society over time. I'd never even thought about it before. That it's like, yeah, when you get something easy, you kind of used to something coming easy.
That's it.
And so, but I do believe that other countries could have strategy against us, and also,
and I believe that there were.
And what it changed for us as a people, like what it changed, like for how we look out of our own eyes, for how we walk out of like. I remember on 9/11, I walked out of a building. I was staying with some friends. I walked outside, and there was just some like construction going on, and it had been going on for a while. And they were like redoing these like this stone walkway. I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and they had these bulldozers and stuff out there, and like people had been excited about the construction. Like it was like because the streets are cobblestone. It's really beautiful. And suddenly that day, everybody was like, are they demolishing something? Like suddenly this had a whole different energy of like, oh, like this is the rubble. Like there was a connection with like what you just seen on television to suddenly like something that was being done that was positive structurally was now suddenly looked at like there was a lot of fear around it. And I know that's a ridiculous small thing.
But that's normal. That happened at the time.
Right, and it's just how much of a small thing in your head, like, okay, I just seen this, and now everything is scary.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Everything is scary.
I think that's exactly right. The whole country was traumatized. It was our Pearl Harbor, the Pearl Harbor of our generation.
And it changed how you would operate. It changed just like it adjusted so many things. Go on, though.
So July 6th, 2001, I'm hosting a group of intelligence officers from a Middle Eastern country. This is something we did literally every single day, usually multiple times a day. And what we do is we set up a day of briefings. They get a photo op with the director, shaking hands. We exchange gifts, and we take them out to a fancy dinner at night. So these guys, they were all mid-level, like majors and lieutenant colonels.
So it's a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, a lot of it. A lot, yes. So I set up a day of briefings, and I went to see this kid, young guy, 20s, that was covering Al-Qaeda. And I said, can you come and just talk to these guys about Al-Qaeda for an hour? And he said yes. So it came time for his briefing, but instead of him coming, the director of counterterrorism comes, Kofor Black, later Ambassador Kofor Black. And he comes...
From which country? From the U.S.
Yeah. He was our director.
So he showed up.
Kofor shows up with the director of operations from the Osama bin Laden unit. And I jumped up. I was like, "Oh, gentlemen!" I said, "This is Kofor Black. He's the director of counterterrorism for the entire American intelligence community."
And you were working in counterterrorism at the time. Got it.
And so he came in and sat down, and he was very, very serious. He said, "Something terrible is going to happen. We don't know exactly when or exactly where, but we know it's going to be an attack on a scale that we've never seen before. He said, we're picking up chatter from the Al-Qaeda training camps where camp commanders are on the phone with their students and they're crying and telling them, I'll see you in paradise. We're hearing code words for a massive attack. The honey salesman is coming with vast quantities of honey, where there's going to be a huge wedding or a huge football game. And he said, we know that they're planning an enormous attack. We just don't know when or where. And he said, I'm begging you, if you have any sources inside Al-Qaeda, please help us. They just sat there and looked at him. Nothing. So at the end of the day, I was not working on Al-Qaeda at the time. I later, weeks later, became the chief of counterintelligence in the Osama bin Laden unit. And so I went to his office at the end of the day before I took those guys to dinner, and I said, Kofor, I got to tell you, you shocked me with that briefing today. Was that just for them, or were you serious? He said, oh, I was deadly serious. Something terrible is going to happen. And then on September 11th, there it was. He and I were supposed to go to the White House that morning. We had a meeting with Condoleezza Rice, who was the National Security Advisor at the time, on an issue that's so stupid now, I'm almost embarrassed to tell you what it is. It was about a book that was being printed by the Government Printing Office, this minor governmental agency called Greece, Turkey, Cyprus. Or no, it was called Foreign Affairs of the United States, Greece, Turkey, Cyprus, 1949 to 1967.
Oh.
Literally nobody's going to read this book.
Nobody, I was going to tell you that. Nobody's going to read it.
Literally nobody.
Yeah.
And it's like 1,000 pages long.
That's money laundering.
And it had the names of 3 CIA sources who were still alive. And we've got this obscure law in the United States that if the government outs a CIA source, we have to offer the source citizenship. These guys are like 100, 98, and 97 years old. They're not going to, they don't care.
Right.
Nobody's going to read the book anyway. So we were going to go down there and ask her, just pull those pages out of the book. You know, nobody's going to miss it. Nobody's going to read it anyhow. Just pull the pages out or redact the names or whatever. But I went up to tell him that the car was ready, and the secretary's got a little TV on her desk, and the World Trade Center's on fire. I said, what happened to the World Trade Center? She said, a plane flew into it. And I go, because I'm a genius, I said, you know, that happened once before in 1930. A bomber flew into the Empire State Building, but it was like pouring rain and fog. I said, it's so crystal clear today. How can you not see that you're flying into the World Trade Center? And just as I spoke the words, the second plane hit. And then she turned and she said, did you see that or did I imagine it? And it's like, oh, everything's going to go to shit now.
And at this point, you're already working in counterterrorism, yeah?
Well, I was already in counterterrorism, but I was working on a group. See, again, I'm embarrassed to even say I was working in a group that was targeting European communist terrorists like Carlos the Jackal, who nobody remembers now. He was the Osama bin Laden of the 70s. Nobody remembers who in the world he was.
Really?
Yeah, Carlos the Jackal.
Bring him up.
There he is.
Whoa, he looks suave, huh?
He was Venezuelan, Ilyich Ramirez Sanchez. Listen to the balls this guy had. OPEC had an oil ministers meeting, right? So the ministers...
And for those who don't know what OPEC is, it's the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So it's basically like your oil kind of commission.
It's the monopoly, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
monopoly.
The what do you call it? The cartel. It's an oil cartel.
Very fair.
So he and his gang of terrorists raided the OPEC oil ministers meeting in Vienna, Austria, and kidnapped every single minister of oil. They killed 3 people, it says there. He demanded a plane, flew everybody to Libya, took his $1 billion ransom that they gave him, and then let everybody go.
Wow. So he was just trying to get a bag, really.
Oh, yeah, and he was good at it. And then he was so good at it, he set up terrorist training camps in Libya and Lebanon, and he trained the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. He trained Greece's revolutionary organization, 17 November, the Red Brigades, the Action Directe.
Why did he feel so convicted to do this sort of behavior?
He was a true believing communist, and he just wanted to bring down the West.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Take me back. So it's like you guys hear that something's going to happen.
Something terrible is going to happen.
What do you do at that point?
Well, see, that's the key. What do? We didn't know what to do, so we're going to the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Saudis, this one, that one, and they're like, we don't know what's going on. Well, as it turned out, that wasn't true. almost all the hijackers. What was it? 16 or 17 of the hijackers came from
With
Saudi Arabia,
right?
And we know that the Saudi ambassador to the United States at the time, Prince Bandar bin Sultan Al Saud, his wife transferred $50,000 from her personal bank account to the hijackers. Well, what are we supposed to make of that?
Yeah, sometimes you got to get your girl to Venmo if you got it. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously, the only time I ever saw George Tenet, it was the CIA director at the time, the only time I ever saw George completely lose his shit was in a meeting with Prince Bandar. He said, if we don't start getting help from the Saudi government on this case, we're going to start killing people, a lot of people, and some of them are going to be named Al Saud. I go out to Pakistan as the chief of counterterrorism operations there in January of '02. So it's still fresh. We're bombing Tora Bora. All these Al-Qaeda people are trying to get out of Afghanistan, cross into Pakistan, and my job was then to catch them when they came into
But
Pakistan.
we're bombing what? We're bombing which country?
Afghanistan.
We're bombing Afghanistan, right? But why were we looking for Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan?
That's where they were living, all of them. They launched 9/11 from Afghanistan.
Got it.
At least theoretically, the ideas came when they were in Afghanistan.
Because from the American population, it always felt like we never went after Saudi Arabia. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, and we should.
But didn't you know that?
We did not. We suspected, but we didn't have. There was no smoking gun. So that's what I'm getting to. We catch Abu Zubaydah, Zain al-Abidin Mohammed Hussein, Abu Zubaydah, who we believed at the time
Oh
was
shit! I thought you were having a stroke for a second.
No, that's his name.
No, I'm just joking. That was a joke.
The profession, I know. The profession of faith, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.
I've been around people that are stroking out, and if you don't tap in with them, they'll just keep going.
Oh, jeez.
You know, and
Yeah.
they never buy a vowel, and then they just fucking tap out. You
Oh,
know,
that's terrible.
so you guys were doing this, guy.
So we're looking for him,
Oh, bro.
and we catch him.
This dude is a fucking mumble rapper, I think. Go on.
We were on him for 6 weeks. We chased him. Some days we'd bust down the door and there's like a warm meal and a half-lit cigarette still on the table. We're like, dang it, with 15 minutes we could have gotten him. Some days we were a day or two behind. So he knew we were after him. He knew we were chasing him all over the friggin' country. And we catch him. In late March 2002 in Faisalabad, Pakistan. So we also confiscated his diary. This led to a huge fight between the FBI and the CIA. Huge. And the CIA was right and the FBI was wrong. But the fight was, well, we captured his diary. So I'm
But,
sitting
dude,
there.
that sounds so suspect that he has a diary.
It was more than a diary, though.
But even though, you know what I'm saying, like as a regular person.
Oh, no, it didn't have terrorism stuff in it.
Right, but even then, first of all, who the fuck has a?
See, but look,
he does have an eye patch. out.
Sketcher, yeah.
Oh, he drew a lot as well.
It's all drawings. All of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all of it's drawings, and most of them are classified top secret. The CIA wouldn't allow them to be released.
Got it.
Because they were mostly about the torture that was done to him.
Understood.
So anyway, we catch the diary, and I call headquarters and I said, "Listen, we got his diary, and there's some fascinating shit in here. Like what?" And I said, "Well, for one, they're the cell phone numbers of 3 Saudi princes. Like, what's up with that?" So they were like, "Put it in writing." So I write this cable back, and I was like, "We found these 3 princes. Here are their cell phone numbers. George calls in the Saudi ambassador. The president calls the king. What kind of country are you running over there?" So we said, "We want those 3 princes. We want them, like right now." Next thing you know, one goes into the hospital for bariatric surgery because they're all fat. And he dies on the operating table. The other one is driving from Riyadh to Jeddah on the Riyadh to Jeddah highway. He's in a 1-car accident and is killed in the accident. The third one goes camping in the desert, which is a very popular pastime, and dies of thirst. Yeah. So we couldn't interrogate any of them.
Who do you think was? Do you think that Saudi Arabia did that?
100%.
Right. Do you think we ever got to the bottom of 9/11? Do you think?
No.
You don't.
No. And I'm going to say something that's very unpopular. I think that the Israelis, while not involved in 9/11, absolutely positively had advance warning of 9/11. They had sources inside of Al-Qaeda, and they purposely did not tell us the details because they knew what was going to happen. They knew that we would attack Afghanistan and we would attack Iraq and we would kill 2 million Muslims. And I mean, these dancing Israelis, they've never answered for this. I'm still mad about the dancing Israelis.
I've heard about the dancing Israelis. Bring it up. So you're saying that you believe that they knew.
I think they knew in advance and didn't warn us.
But they didn't warn us because we would
do their dirty work for them.
We would take out issues with their surrounding guys.
You know, there are videos making the rounds now of Benjamin Netanyahu over the years, over the last 20 plus years, testifying before Congress and saying, you know, if we just took out Saddam Hussein, we would be peace in the Middle East. If we just took out Muammar Gaddafi, there would be, I guarantee you, he says, there would be peace in the Middle East.
And we do it all.
We take out Iran and we're going to have peace in the Middle East.
It's starting to get a little bit more like.
I think so. A little sus.
Yeah.
So the Iraqis have electrical towers like we have everywhere, but ours have 4 legs and the Iraqis have 3 legs. So just a few days before we attacked Iraq, at that time I'm the executive assistant to the deputy director for operations at the CIA. So it's the most serious job I ever had.
So you have access to a lot.
Literally everything.
Wow.
And the Israelis come to us and they said, listen, you guys are going to attack Iraq in a couple of days. We want in. We said, absolutely not. We put this coalition together with all these Arab countries. As soon as you guys jump in, all the Arabs are going to drop out. Just let us do it. Next thing you know, every one of these electrical towers just begins to topple over, like 150 miles worth in the Western Desert, because somebody put explosives on just one of the 3 legs. And I remember my boss saying, these damn Israelis, they just can't leave well enough alone. They just don't ever do as they're told.
Let me look at this. The dancing Israelis. And we're talking about the Israeli government. We're not talking about Israeli people.
I'm far less worried about the dancing Israelis than I am about the Israelis who were arrested on 9/11.
Okay. But just so I can say the claim, because I don't know, I've never even spoken about this. The dancing Israelis is a 9/11 related conspiracy trope based on the arrest of 5 Israeli men in New Jersey on September 11, 2001. And this is according to Perplexity. And it was some guys, I think they were on a building top, and they were kind of dancing like around a
high-fiving each other.
Yeah, a bread truck or something as you can see the towers in the distance. A New Jersey woman reported 5 men near a van overlooking Manhattan who appeared to be celebrating and taking photos as the Twin Towers burned. Police later stopped a suspicious van and detained 5 Israeli citizens. They had items like box cutters and multiple passports, which conspiracy theorists later fixated on, but box cutters are normal tools for a moving delivery job.
They were happy because they knew exactly what was going to happen, that we would have to enter the war, we would attack Afghanistan, we would probably then, take a permanent position in the region, which is exactly what happened. Right. That's why they were dancing. They were happy. 9/11 was a good thing for Israel. It got us militarily engaged over the long term.
But you don't think that they were involved in the setting up of it?
I don't. No. There's never been any evidence to suggest that they were involved in any way.
I have no idea.
No. But there was another thing too, and this is a bigger issue. It's that the Israelis spy on the United States. They've always spied on the United States.
Do we spy on them also?
No. And that's written in stone at the CIA. We do not spy on Israel. But they openly spy on us. They're all over the country stealing defense secrets.
Do we spy on other countries?
Yeah, we spy on almost every.
Why can't we spy on them?
It's a political decision that's been made. Yeah, a political decision. In the White House, on Capitol Hill.
Sometimes it just feels like our country is just kind of owned by Israel and they just don't say that. Do you think that that's true or do you think that's fictional?
Well, I don't think it's so clear-cut. I think the truth is that the Israelis have inordinate political influence in the United States, especially in our elections.
Yeah. Well, they just had that election with Thomas Massey that...
exactly. That's the best example.
That got overtaken. What happened with that election? Let's bring it up. I mean, I know that Thomas lost, but it was the largest...
Yeah, $35 million was spent.
The American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, and other pro-Israel interest groups have uncorked over $9 million in a bid to unseat Republican Representative Thomas Massey on Tuesday, which they did. The competitive primary has shattered spending records. Prominent pro-Israel GOP donors have funneled millions more into a super PAC. stood up by President Donald Trump's political operation that has spent nearly $7 million on the race. Overall ad spending has topped $32 million, making it the most expensive House primary on record per tracking firm Ad Impact. Wow.
For a job that pays $180,000 a year.
So what are the long-term benefits of them getting this position, or was it just about getting Massey out?
It was getting Massey. The thing about AIPAC is if you are not 100% pro-Israel, they will primary you. They'll primary you with somebody who is 100% pro-Israel. And sometimes, you know, the perfect is the enemy of the good. Where
what does that mean?
Where you've got, for example, there was an incumbent Democrat in New Jersey who voted pro-Israel 90% of the time. They ran a primary opponent against him, who was 100% pro-Israel, and he lost. But so did she. And the one that won was the one that's pro-Palestinian.
Oh, I see. So sometimes by taking out, by aiming for one, you might let another through.
You end up hurting your own cause.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can understand people's angst with this sort of thing. The biggest thing is just like, if Israel's involved in a genocide, right? They're genociding people.
Right.
It's almost like, why would you let Nazi Germany invest in your people who are going to be running congressmen or senators in your country? It's crazy. I don't see how there's not a law. Like, why isn't there a law if a country's doing like a Holocaust or like a genocide, that they're not allowed to invest in, that they're not allowed to have a lobby in our elections?
See,
was there ever a law about that?
No. And they would lose their shit over the use of the word genocide. You used it. I use it. It's a genocide.
We've been using it on here for years.
Oh, yeah, it meets all the international legal requirements of a genocide.
Yeah, well, I think the UN has voted that it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if the vote passed, because I think there was maybe some groups that wouldn't agree to it.
Well, it didn't pass the Security Council, but it passed by 90-something% in the General Assembly.
Yeah, but I don't understand why that seems fair. And also, I'm amazed that I don't understand why people that made like movies and wrote books about the Holocaust, why they don't speak up and say, hey,
yeah,
this is the same thing that I wrote about. You know what I'm saying? You can show picture to picture that makes it exactly
Killing is wrong. It's wrong, no matter who's doing the killing or who's being killed. It's just wrong.
But I don't see why some of those people don't speak up. You know?
Well, there is an increasingly large number of Jewish Americans who are speaking out. There's a big group called Jewish Voices for Peace. The Orthodox Jewish community in New York has been very vocal. Just this week, there was
a protest going on,
annual Israel Day parade, and a lot of the Orthodox Jews from Brooklyn showed up with Palestinian and Iranian flags, and it caused violence. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just don't understand why. What is America afraid of? Like what have you seen like in the CIA? Because it does. You hear a lot that that the Israeli influence is taking over our CIA and our FBI. Do you think that that's true or not?
Well, I can't speak to the FBI, and my CIA information is dated. I left the CIA more than 20 years ago. When I was there, we kept the Israelis at arm's length, like seriously so. The very first liaison intelligence briefing I ever gave was to the Israelis. I had been only on the job 6 weeks. And my boss said, listen, you're going to give a liaison briefing. It's going to be a whole big group of people. So you're going to be the last one to talk because you're the most junior. But you need to know some of the ground rules. He said, we do not meet with the Israelis in the building. We used to, but every time they'd come, they'd bring us gifts. And the gifts are always packed with listening devices and batteries.
Is that true?
Yes, 100% true.
Would you guys find him? How do you even know that that's true?
Because you have to x-ray everything that comes into the building. You can't just wantonly walk in off the street with, boxes of gifts and say, here, this is for you.
And what'd they do, to sew a couple Palestinian ears from the rubble?
And they're like, oh, we're just joking.
Oh, it's like joking stuff.
Yeah, it's not joking.
So that happened during your time? Was that with other countries too? So I'm sure there's other countries that like.
Oh, there are other countries we don't even have liaison with.
Got it.
But with the Israelis, we had to rent a place, and we would meet with them in the place. On my very first day at the CIA, you meet in the auditorium called the Bubble, and the head of HR comes out, and the director comes and says, "Welcome to the CIA," and then the head of security. it's just a parade of important people come to welcome you. So the head of security said a couple things. One was funny. He said, the gravest threat facing America today is the threat of Soviet communism. And I said to the guy next to me, does this guy not read the papers? There is no Soviet Union anymore. Anyway, he went on to say that the Israelis have 2 declared intelligence officers in the United States, one Mossad and one Shin Bet, so CIA and FBI equivalents. They're at the Israeli embassy in Washington. But the FBI has identified 187 additional undeclared Israeli intelligence officers spread out all over America, stealing secrets from defense contractors. So the lesson was, don't ever talk about work outside the building. Don't ever eat at the restaurants in McLean, Virginia, because they're all Russian KGB and back then it was the KGB and Israeli Mossad agents eating there to hear what the CIA people were saying.
It's exciting though. At least
It was
like
kind of exciting.
I bet it was like a real whodunit.
I loved it. I really did. I loved it until I didn't love it. You know, after 9/11, everybody went nuts and just wanted to kill everyone. I was getting ready to go to Pakistan, and so I stopped by the office on my way to the airport just to say goodbye. Because Cofer said on 9/11, he stood up on his desk.
Cofer Black, you said?
Cofer Black, yeah. He stood up on his desk and he said, "Today we're at war. All of us are going to have to do our part. Not all of us are going to be able to come home." So he said, if you want to walk now, walk, and nobody will think less of you. Nobody budged. So I stopped by the office because I want to say goodbye. I don't know. Am I going to get shot? Am I going to get blown up? Am I going to get killed? I don't know. So I just want to say goodbye.
Say goodbye to Cofer?
No, to Cofer, to my boss, excuse me, and to the people I was working with.
Well, why would you have gotten shot?
I was the chief of counterterrorism operations. That's the job I'm going out to. I'm busting down doors 3 nights a week. And I work for this guy, lovely, lovely guy. Nice suits, just a really, like very professorial. And he gives me a hug and he leans in and he says, "Kill them all." And I said, "Really? Have we gotten there already?"
Wow.
And he says, "Kill them all." And then I went to the airport. I was like, am I the only guy who thinks we should do this by the book? God. Apparently I was.
That's crazy, man.
It was ugly. You should see some of the pictures I have on my phone. They'll make your hair stand up.
I don't know. There's already a lot of stuff I'm not allowed to look at. I have blockers on my phone. So, yeah, I'm just going to donate my eyes to charity, I think, soon.
We want to know just how big of a wiener this thing can take.
It can't take that. Can it take that?
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. For some, summer is their favorite season. Travel picks up and the kids are out of school and adventure is the focus. Get F and go to where. So when you get involved, like, how bad did it get after 9/11 where the rules of like interrogating and that sort of thing changed?
Ah, that's a good question. You know, the dirty little secret was literally not one single CIA officer was trained in interrogation techniques. So as soon as we started catching these guys, I mean, I'd only been there but a week. We started catching them, and my boss is like, interrogate them. I'm like, I don't know how to interrogate people. I can interview them.
And what do you even wear, sneakers? I mean, what do you even put on to do something like that?
Yeah, I wore sneakers most days. Polo shirt, jeans.
Bro, you can't interrogate somebody in a polo shirt.
That's all I brought with me. That and sweatshirts. Because it was cold when I arrived.
You got to put on a Chicago Bears jersey or something.
Oh, my God. It was so weird. See, in one of the early raids, we had also confiscated the Al-Qaeda training manual.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Do you still have one of those or not?
No. I turned everything in. But you know what? It might be online. It might be out there now.
I want one.
So I was, I spoke and read Arabic, and so we're going through the training manual, and I'm translating it to the guys in my branch as I'm reading it. Well, everything that was in the manual, these prisoners would do as we would catch them. So I say, "What's your name?" The guy goes, "Oh," like he's having a ruptured appendix. "Oh, what's your name?" And he like pretends to faint and falls off the chair, and then he just kind of opens one eye to look at you. And I'm like, "Get the fuck up and get back in the chair. What's your name?" And then, like, do you hit him? Do you not hit him? Do you grab him by the shirt and shake? I
You
mean, I
tell
didn't know
me.
what the rules were.
So
there were
what-
no rules.
And so what kind of environment, I mean, what did you end up having to do? Like, what do you do in those sort of situations? Like,
Well-
are you responsible to garner information? Do you even feel like the people you're catching have real information? The shit sounds kind of vague.
Everybody has something. It's called the mosaic concept, where everybody's got a little tile in his brain. And if you collect enough tiles, you can put the whole picture together. So, I mean, some of it sounds comical now. I would say to the Pakistani lieutenant colonel that I was working with on a daily basis, I'd say, you want to be the good cop today? I'll be the bad cop, or you want to be the bad cop again? I'll be the good cop. And then we decide in advance. Then I go in, we start talking to these guys. The first guy we captured, he was Jordanian. And they bring him in, he's shackled at the ankles, shackled at the waist, and then they undo the waist shackle and they chain him to an eye bolt in the table. So you have to know the answers to all the questions that you're asking, right? So I'm like, what's your name? He tells me his name. Where did you come from? I came from Tora Bora. And what happened in Tora Bora? The Americans began bombing us. And then where did you go? He said, I tried to escape. So I went into a cave, and then the Americans bombed the cave, and the guy had blood squirted out of his ears, and he had brain damage, and finally made it across the border. I lay out a map. Tell me exactly how you got across the border. We knew what the rat lines were. And he told the truth. This is the way we came through this pass. Everything he told me was true. And so I said to him, he said, what's going to happen to me? And I said, honestly, I don't know. You're probably going to spend some time in jail here, and then we're going to send you to Jordan, and I don't know what the Jordanians are going to do to you. Because he was Jordanian.
Yeah.
So I said to him, but let me ask you something. I know that what you told me was true. Why did you tell me the truth? And he goes, I'm your prisoner. What good would it do me to lie to you? He said, I know how these things work. I know that you knew the answers to these questions. It doesn't help me in any way to lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, thank you. And then he says, let me ask you something now. He said, I assume you're Christian. And I said, yes. And he says, I would like to invite you into the embrace of Islam, and I'll be your godfather. I said, well, thank you very much.
And what is that?
appreciate
It's almost like the Boy Scouts or something, or he'd like as a scout leader, kind of like he'll be like your sponsor.
Yeah, like
Okay.
my sponsor. He's going to convert me to Islam, and I'm going to say...
Which is Muslim, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, thanks, but no thanks, and I wish you the best. And I remember saying to a colleague of mine, my God, if everyone goes like that, it's going to be incredible. The next raid we did, we bust down the door, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's two kids, they're 19 years old, from Tunisia, and they both just burst into tears.
Oh.
And so we cuff them, and one kid is just heaving, sobbing, and the other one is begging me to let him call his mother. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry, you can't call your mother.
What'd they do?
They were Arabs without passports or visas in an Al-Qaeda safe house, and that was good enough for me.
Got it.
So we got to the point where we had literally filled the Rawalpindi jail in Rawalpindi, Pakistan. It's this gigantic city that's kind of attached to Islamabad. Islamabad's the capital, but it's very, very small.
Mm-hmm.
Rawalpindi is where the military is located, and it's like 5, 6, 7 million people there. So Rawalpindi jail, there it is. That's
Wow.
it. My God, I haven't been to the Rawalpindi jail in 24 years. And I'll
never-
tell you what, I don't remember it looking that good either.
I've never been.
Well, yeah, thank your lucky stars.
Really?
Yeah, it's not good. So the PAX called me and they said, look, we've literally filled the jail. You got to do something with these guys. I said, okay. So I called headquarters. I said, the PAX are telling me that the jail's full. What do you want to do with them? They said, put them on a C-12 and send them to Guantanamo. I said, Guantanamo, Cuba? Why would we send them to Cuba? And they said, we came up with this idea. We're going to send everybody to Cuba, and then we're going to divide them up after we figure out what federal district court to charge them with. Because 9/11 was an open criminal investigation at the time, and the crimes were committed in the Eastern District of Massachusetts, hijacking, the Western District of Pennsylvania, hijacking, the Eastern District of Virginia, the Pentagon, and the Southern District of New York. I said, that's a great idea. So we just started loading these guys on an endless, parade of C-12 transport planes and sending them to Guantanamo. And then somebody in Dick Cheney's office, probably David Addington, although he's never admitted it, somebody said, you know what? These guys don't have any rights in Cuba. Why don't we just leave them there like forever? And here we are, 24 years later.
Some of them are still there?
And they're still there.
Most of them, you think?
34 of them. At the height, we had like 770, I think was when it was at its most full.
I went there one time to perform as a comedian.
Yeah.
Went down there and was performing for some of the troops there and stuff, and you got to see some of the, just the way you would fly
you
in
can
it.
see it in the distance.
Oh, yeah, well, the way you'd fly in at night, they would fly in like this kind of crazy pattern. And,
yeah, they do.
And it was lit up. It almost looked like a big wedding ring in the distance because they had like just these bright lights on the fences surrounding the base. And so you come in like at this crazy kind of pattern, and you kind of had to go around. We went
Right.
from
Because you can't cross Cuban airspace.
I think we went
So you have
from
to go around and come up from the south.
We went from somewhere in Florida and went around.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense. I mean, it was interesting. And then we got to go right up by the detainee centers, and I think we even saw some guys playing volleyball and stuff. But were there tortures where people lost their lives? That you were involved in?
Not that I was involved in, thank God. There were,
But like, at what point do you call like one off that's getting out of hand? Like, have you been in one that was getting out of hand?
No, because when we were catching guys, we had not yet implemented the torture program. So the torture program was conceived and approved in October of 2001.
Okay.
I got to Pakistan in January of 2002. And we're like, what do we do with these guys? Well, the FBI's there with us. They're like, you can't like hit them, or you can't do anything to them. If they don't talk, then okay, we just send them to Guantanamo.
And because you ended up coming out and speaking out about torture that was happening.
Right.
But how would they let you do that if you weren't aware of it firsthand, though?
Well, because remember, I became the executive assistant to the deputy director.
Oh, so you would see the reports coming back. You'd see all the cables coming back in?
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Was some of it pretty intense, do you feel like?
Oh, it was bad. Most of the news outlets that I talk to, they make the biggest deal out of waterboarding. There's waterboarding right there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there were techniques that were worse than waterboarding. Sleep deprivation is one. And in terms of causing death, the cold cell. You see sensory deprivation, that was also a terrible one.
What is that like?
Sensory deprivation, they put you in like an isolation tank, and you're surrounded by water, and you literally go crazy from the silence.
So you're in like one of those kind of one of those places you can go pay to do, and it's like quiet in there.
But instead of being in there for an hour or 2 hours, you're in there for 3 weeks.
Are they playing music or
no? It's complete silence and darkness, complete and total, like you're dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think Aaron Rodgers does that.
I think that's nuts. But there were a couple that were worse than waterboarding. The cold cell. We strip the prisoner naked. You chain him to an eye bolt in the ceiling, so he can't lay or sit or get comfortable.
Can you keep your underpants on? Or
No. Because the idea is to humiliate them.
Oh.
Remember, in their religion, nakedness is shameful.
Yeah.
Right? And nakedness in front of a woman. And we would have women interrogators strip them naked just to humiliate them. Yeah. You see this rectal feeding.
Rectal feeding?
Yeah, what we did is we forced tubes up their asses, and then with a pump, pumped hummus up there just to insult their culture.
No way. Who was coming up with these ideas? I'm sure
there were 2 contract psychologists at the CIA, James Mitchell and Bruce Jessen.
Is that true? They came up with these plans?
Yeah, and we paid them $108 million of the taxpayers' money for it.
But when you look at, were these people criminals? This is what's interesting.
That's the thing, Theo. They've never been charged with a crime.
Right.
So charge them. If these guys are as bad as we say they are, charge them with a crime. If they're as bad as we say they are, find them guilty, sentence them to death, and execute them.
We won't even charge people in our country who are committing a crime.
No.
So I think that it's like, that's like a problem that's been across the board, is like, what is the crime? Charge somebody with a crime.
Yeah.
It's
charge
not
them with
happening in
crime.
our own country.
But you
because
can't.
this is so wild to hear about because it's like, it's interesting, like just as a person, right? You're like, okay, did these guys do something really bad to kill people in our country, right? Were they doing really harmful stuff? Are they like...
And they were.
Right.
Yeah. But they confessed through torture, so none of it's admissible. None of it.
Right. Okay. So, but then it's like, it's like, how do you solve something like that? With more crime?
Well, there was a deal that was made during the Biden administration. So it was like the top 3 or 4, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Ammar al-Baluch, Ramzi bin Ashib, and somebody else. They agreed to plead guilty to terrorism, and what they got in exchange was life without parole and a promise not to send them to Supermax in Colorado because they said they couldn't deal with the cold. They wanted to stay in Cuba because it's warm. So life without parole. And Biden's Secretary of Defense vacated the deal, and he says, you can't make a deal like that. I have to make that deal because I'm the Secretary of Defense. And it went through the courts, and then the Biden administration, there it is right there.
The Biden administration, Department of Defense, and who were these 4 guys? They were the men accused of
Khalid
plotting...
Sheikh Mohammed, Walid bin Attash, Mustafa Housawi.
They were accused of
That's
plotting the September 11th terrorist attacks, right? The Biden administration, Department of Defense reached plea agreements with 3 prominent al-Qaeda figures, whom you just mentioned, accused of plotting the September 11th terrorist attacks. However, following intense political and public backlash, the administration moved to block the agreement, and the courts later threw it out. So what happened to the guys? They're just still being held?
They're just still there. You see right there, the terms. They agreed to plead guilty to murdering 2,976 people in exchange for life without parole. Okay, so the deal was thrown out. So now what do they have? They have life without parole. That's the deal.
Right. Same thing.
It's the same thing. They're never going to be released.
But why didn't we? What was the reason why? Because the reaction from people?
It was really reaction from the Biden Defense Department.
Well, this says 9/11 families too. I guess
the 9/11 families just want to chop everybody's head off. And I understand. I get it. I really do.
It makes sense.
I get it. But that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. We're a country of laws. We can't just pretend that we're a country of laws, except when the laws aren't convenient for us.
But if you kill enough people, it seems like you would face the death penalty.
Yes, but you have to blame the CIA for that. If the CIA hadn't tortured these guys, they would all have been executed.
I see. It was inadmissible.
It's all inadmissible.
Got it.
They confessed to everything.
Understood.
But it was all under torture. And so you can't do anything with them. Now, there's no evidence against them. None.
I can't even imagine what it's like to be some of those families and just the drawn out of all of that.
Yeah,
and
it's been 25 years in September.
Let's get a little bit more current. Did you see that they just had they have those flotillas that are going to Gaza? Did you see that the Prime Minister of Ireland's sister was on one of them?
I'll tell you, the Irish hate the Israelis, and the Israelis hate the Irish.
Has that always been the case, you think?
No, only in the last 8 or 10 years.
Let me see this. Gaza Aid Flotilla activist home after torture ship nightmare. Scroll a little. Irish activists have claimed they were kidnapped and beaten by Israeli forces after their aid flotilla to Gaza was intercepted in international waters. Margaret Connolly, the sister of President Connolly, was among the emotional arrivals at Dublin Airport on Saturday. They wanted us to suffer, she said. None of them could look us in the eye. What a dehumanizing thing to do to men and women aged from 22 to 75. That's just wild. Imagine if Obama's sister or...
Can you imagine?
Can't even imagine. I want to interview Greta Thunberg.
That would be fun.
It'd be cool, huh?
Yeah.
I just would like to get to see what she's like. I've never been around her. You just see bits and clips of people.
Right.
So it'd be pretty fascinating. The Irish detainees were among hundreds of participants from other countries who were also detained in the latest iteration of the global Samud flotilla was stopped by Israeli forces in international waters. And a lot of these groups were trying to get there to bring aid to the people in Gaza. And then also, I think, to just document what was going on there.
Yes.
They've had the largest killing of journalists in the history of time.
Of the world.
In the history of the world.
Yeah. How are people not outraged? Have you heard of?
I don't know if people have any feelings anymore. I don't know what's going on.
Have you heard of Shireen Abu Akleh?
No, I couldn't even hear that. I don't even know how to. I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't do it if I. Yeah.
Shireen Abu Akleh was an American citizen, and she was the top journalist on Al Jazeera. So,
bring her up.
Shireen Abu Akleh.
Abu Akleh.
So again, American citizen. She goes to Israel and she's covering the fighting between the Israelis and the Palestinians. I think it was in the West Bank. There she is. Yeah, in the West Bank. So she's wearing a bulletproof vest that says press, and she's wearing a helmet that says press, and she's taking cover behind a tree, and an Israeli sniper shot her in the face and killed her. Killed her instantly. So her funeral is held a couple days later in a Greek Orthodox church in the West Bank. The IDF raids the church, beats the pallbearers, and they drop the coffin.
You're lying.
Isn't that awful?
Let me see. The manner of her death and the subsequent violent disruption of her funeral drew widespread international condemnation of Israel. During her funeral procession, the Israel police attacked the pallbearers at the St. Joseph's Hospital in East Jerusalem with batons and stun grenades. The hospital itself was also stormed by Israeli police officers who assaulted patients and threw stun grenades.
What is an American citizen?
Unbelievable.
We didn't say anything.
Well, most of our media won't say a lot of stuff about this.
No.
What do you think's going on? It feels like this is almost like, it almost feels like the Twilight Zone. Does that make any sense to you?
Yes, very much.
Well, as someone who's seen like a lot of like psyops and things that go on, what's going on here? Does Israel have like an end goal? Like I have a lot of Jewish friends that are great people and stuff like that, right?
And one of my best friends is an IDF Special Forces veteran.
No way.
Yeah.
How does he feel about this sort
He's
of thing?
ashamed. He's ashamed. He's like, we didn't used to be like this.
I just don't is there some goal of Israel that's a bigger goal, do you think? Do you think
Well, the goal might be in the 2027 National Defense Authorization Act. It integrates, for the first time ever, the Israeli and American militaries. So they become like one military. It's like, who thought of that?
Oh, my friend Ro Khanna actually is putting together...
Wow.
He's trying to put together a bill, I think, to challenge this. I'm not good. I don't know if the term is a bill. I'm not sure. So, I'm more of an emotional guy than I am.
I like and respect Ro Khanna. I hope he runs for president.
He's a neat guy. We had him on here, and it was cool. I think he's a really interesting guy. I think he's brave. I like the stuff that he's brave enough to do.
See, and I say the same thing about Tucker Carlson. I think Tucker. I'll tell you something about Tucker. Is the Tucker that you see on the screen? That's Tucker in real life.
I agree.
He's the sweetest guy. He means exactly what he says. He doesn't hold anything back. Totally honest.
Well, I think it's like you're just a human being who lives in a country,
right?
And you're supposed to have these like things of what means something, and then you start to see all this stuff that you're like, well, this goes against everything that I've learned.
Exactly.
This goes against like, especially like you grow up and you see like every other book at the airport is about the Holocaust for my entire life. So it's like every time you get on a plane, you're grabbing one and you're learning about it, and you're like, you see these things that are wrong. Or that are like, and then you see this thing happening, you're like, well, how is this? And then if you mention like, and people act like, I don't know. It's almost like you feel like you're being just gaslit, and then your media won't cover a lot of it.
That's right.
So I don't know I don't know, and I don't know what's going on.
I was on the Piers Morgan show not too long ago. I go on every couple of months, and
I never been on his show. What's that guy like?
Oh, he's a good guy too, and I have to admit,
is he pretty tall or not?
I haven't met him in person, actually. Only on Zoom.
I always wondered how tall he was. Somebody said he was like 5'5", dude.
What?
Yeah.
That would surprise. 6'1"?
6'1"?
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Maybe the exchange rate on him or something.
Yeah, it's the exchange rate. So I was on his show, and I was with Scott Horton, who's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met, and Alan Dershowitz, and Danny Ayalon, General Danny Ayalon. Former Israeli general, and there we are. There we are. So, so when you're on with Dershowitz never shuts his mouth. That's it. That was what I was going to say.
Was he former CIA agent John Kirikou believes Jeffrey Epstein?
No, that wasn't it.
Oh,
That's Jeffrey Epstein. No, it was about Hamas and Gaza, and he asked me because I had said the least on this episode, and he said, "Do you believe that Hamas is a terrorist organization?" And I said, yes. If the point was on October 7th was to attack civilians, the definition of terrorism is the act of using violence to instill terror in a civilian population. So that's the definition of terrorism. So yes, Hamas is a terrorist organization. He said, do you believe October 7th was a terrorist attack? And I said, yes. He said, then what are you doing on this show? I was supposed to be in the anti-Israel, I guess, or whatever. And I said, Pierce, you can't have as a policy, just kill everybody. Women, children, the elderly, wipe out every hospital, every school, every apartment block. That's genocide.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to say it.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary, and then to think, how would our country be okay right now with us joining military forces with a group that's doing that?
I'm sure not okay. And then you have to ask, what about these people like Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham? Lindsey Graham said the other day, a week ago, that until I breathe my last breath, I will stand with Israel. What? What?
Oh, that dude's just the new Rockney of fucking bullshit.
Oh my God! And Cruz is just as bad. And these clowns from Florida that wear IDF uniforms under the floor of the House, they should be arrested.
I didn't even see that.
It was Congressman Fine, Randy Fine.
But you're like you're supposed to have like a read on these types of things. Like, what do you think's going on?
I think it's AIPAC's money. I think it's two things. It's AIPAC's money, millions upon millions and millions of dollars in American politics. So they have an inordinate influence on our political system. And AIPAC is the only group of its kind that does not have to register as a foreign agent.
Right.
You know, I've made a point on a couple of podcasts. Back in 2008, I got a very small contract. Just, I don't know, $5,000 to write 4 op-eds in support of the Abu Dhabi Chamber of Commerce. So I wrote these op-eds. Oh, you should do business in Abu Dhabi. It's really business friendly. They love Americans. Everybody makes money. All right, send. I had to register as a foreign agent because I was publishing in support of a foreign entity.
Interesting.
What the heck is AIPAC doing 24/7? How come they don't have to register as foreign agents?
Yeah, and I think it seems like we have our government officials are afraid to stand up to them. I don't know why.
They're very afraid. And then you have these morons.
But why
like
do you
John
think they're afraid?
Fetterman.
Well, why do you think they're afraid?
They don't want to be primaried.
Like, even if you get primary, but like you would eventually somebody will win, right? Like,
yes, but who among them has the courage to be the first? I mean, Massey stood up. Massey took it. I saw him about a week before the election.
But he can't be the only person in there.
Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she didn't have the guts. She quit. She quit halfway through.
What do you think
term.